Have you ever noticed how your phone can spot a cat in your photos even faster than you can scroll through them? It's almost like there's a tiny, invisible wizard living inside your phone, trained on an endless parade of pet pictures, ready to shout, "That's a cat," whenever the opportunity arises. Today, I'm going to pull back the curtain on this magic and show you how even though machines don't have eyes, they can recognize your favorite furry friends with remarkable accuracy. Let's start with a quick thought experiment. Imagine describing a cat to someone who's never seen one. Maybe you'd say, they're small, furry, with whiskers, pointy ears, and they love to nap. But what if you tried to tell a robot this? For a computer, pictures are just enormous lists of numbers representing how bright or colorful each pixel is. There's no direct catness in that sea of numbers, at least, not that the computer can spot right away. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we teach a machine, without a brain, nerves, or childhood memories, what makes a cat a cat? Here comes the big secret: computers can learn to recognize patterns in images the same way you might spot familiar shapes in the clouds. Instead of using eyes, they use image recognition. Think of it as teaching a robot to play a giant game of Where's Waldo, but instead of Waldo, it's searching for cats, dogs, or even your favorite pizza. To do this, we use a virtual toolbag called image recognition algorithms. But don't let the big words scare you off. Imagine you're a detective and each clue is a small chunk of your picture, maybe an ear, a paw, or a shadowy tail. The computer starts out not knowing which clues matter. So what do? We show it thousands, sometimes millions, of example pictures. Here's a cat, here's not a cat, and so on. Every time, the computer makes a guess. Is this a cat? When it gets it right, cheers. When it's wrong, we gently nudge it in the right direction, telling it which features are important. Over time, the computer becomes better at noticing which groups of numbers, remember, that's all a picture is to it, line up with the idea of cat. Let's get even more concrete. Imagine you want to tell the difference between a cat and a dog. Maybe, for the computer, a cat is usually more likely to have sharp, upward ears and a certain shine in its eyes, while a dog's nose area looks a little different. The computer, through lots of repetition, starts to spot these telltale signs almost like it's developing its own sense of cat versus dog intuition. But here's the mind-blowing part: the computer isn't memorizing pictures. It isn't storing a billion images of cats so it can compare each new photo. Instead, it's learning the essence, the hidden math patterns that make up catness. It's doing what you do when you pick a pet out of a crowd, seeing the bigger picture, not just the details. Let's look at a real-world example. Suppose you take 1,000 photos, some with cats, some without. You feed these to a computer and tell it which pictures are which. The computer sifts through all those colorful pixels, treating them like clues in a mystery novel. Every time it spots a pattern that often shows up in cat pictures, say, a particular triangle shape for an ear, it begins to weigh that feature more heavily. By the end, when you give it a new, unseen photo, it puts its detective skills to work, checking those patterns. If enough cat clues pop up, it makes its guess. One of the coolest parts? With enough training, the computer can spot things you might overlook, like the subtle difference in eye shine between Fluffy the Persian and Bailey the Labrador. And as technology improves, image recognition gets shockingly good at finding all sorts of things, not just animals, but faces, traffic signs, and even rare plants. Let's wrap up with the big takeaway: teaching a computer to recognize images is a bit like training a new apprentice detective. At first, it's clueless. But with enough practice and feedback, it starts to understand the patterns, using math instead of feelings. The next time your phone magically circles your cat's face in a picture, you'll